Hello everyone, you're watching Your World Tonight here on WION. I'm Aisha Sindhu. We've got a power-packed show lined up for you today, wrapping up all the big global stories of the day. There are two big talking points though. The first, Hong Kong's new visa rules for India, and of course the other, why is India still grappling with the shortage of organ donors in the country? Okay, let's start with one of our big stories tonight and part of our discussion as we go forward into the show. Shopping and doing business in Hong Kong won't be so easy for Indians anymore. Come January, all travellers from India will have to undergo an online visa procedure before touching down in China's quote-unquote specially administered territory. But Indians have always enjoyed a visa-free landing in what was till 1997 a British colony. So why the new law? Here's a report.
Its name means the fragrant harbour, and more than 500,000 Indians fly to Hong Kong to shop, to do business or simply holiday in one of the most beautiful island states in the world. For 70 years, all it took for travellers from the two formerly British colonies to visit each other's countries was a simple entry stamp upon arrival. That's set to change. Come January, Indian visitors will be put through an additional tier of pre-arrival procedures, one that will rob Hong Kong of some of its fragrance, at least for Indians. It's more than mere colonial cousinhood that connects Hong Kong and India. In 1941, more than 3,000 British Indian troops under the Union Jack participated in the liberation of Hong Kong from Japanese occupation. And as in other countries, Indians laid many foundation stones here too, like that of the University of Hong Kong, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, and even the all-important and historic Star Ferry that connects the island of Hong Kong to Kowloon, its other half on the Chinese mainland. The British handed Hong Kong back to China in 1997. Since then, the multicultural island with special administrative status has experienced its own version of the Arab Spring, but also the stentorian hand of Beijing. There are other problems that smack of discrimination, especially for those among Hong Kong's 50,000 permanent residents of Indian origin who do not hold Indian passports. Chinese citizenship or the right to abode is discreetly discouraged. The departing British promised them citizenship, but nearly 20 years after the Union Jack was lowered for the last time in Hong Kong, Indian origin colonial subjects from around the world who were brought there by the Crown in the first place are still waiting. So is Beijing behind the new move that is bound to discourage Indian travellers? After all, India and China frequently face off along the 4,057-kilometre border that runs between the two Asian powers, leading many observers to believe that this latest move by Beijing could well be an attempt to arm twist India. Padma Rao, WION, New Delhi.
We are joined by Harish Hiranandani from Hong Kong. He's a trader and citizen of China, exporting Chinese merchandise to various countries. And also joining us from Delhi is Rahul Guruswami, the chairman of the Centre for Policy Research. Thank you, gentlemen, both for speaking with us here on WION. I'm going to go across to Mr. Hiranandani first. How is this move likely, in your opinion, to affect Indians who are travelling to Hong Kong, sir?
Well, basically, it's just pre-arrival registration online that all the visitors have to make, and it should be quite simple.
So are you saying that you don't perceive this being a big impact on people who travel to Hong Kong for business?
I don't think so, because even for APEC members, they don't need to go through this procedure, and it's only I think basically just to, because we are having a big problem with refugees in Hong Kong. So I think it's to curb the numbers of refugees who are actually not refugees, but they're using this platform to enter Hong Kong.
All right, Mr. Hiranandani, before I go across to Mr. Guruswami, am I correct in assuming then that you're all right with this decision that Hong Kong has taken so far as the visa rules go?
Yes, because I don't feel that this will affect all the bona fide passengers or even travelers to Hong Kong, visitors. All they have to do is fill in a pre-arrival registration form, and it should be okay.
Okay, let's go across to our other guest on that note and perhaps ask him to join in on the conversation on that note. Mr. Guruswami, Mr. Hiranandani there in Hong Kong saying that, this is probably just regular procedure, keeping in mind the checking the influx of refugees. Would you agree? Is this really as innocuous as it appears to Mr. Hiranandani?
Well, I can't comment on that till I know if other countries have also been subject to the same thing. You know, countries like Philippines, Vietnam, who send a lot of people to go to Hong Kong to work and settle down the refugees. Whether it has applied to them also. To me, it looks like this was the kind of a play in this whole drama which has been enacted. President-elect Trump spoke to the Taiwanese president, and you know there is this whole thing of China insisting on this one China policy, and then there was the issue of the Dalai Lama going to the Rashtrapati Bhavan 2 days ago for a reception. And so I think, you know, this kind of fits into that play now, saying that, all right, you know, we can all play this game. So if it is directed only at India at this moment.
Okay, but the
so I won't want to take it so innocuously right away. But I agree with Mr. Hiranandani that it won't be much of a problem for Indian businessmen. They'll register a couple of days earlier, or even if a visa is required, get a visa and go. We go to other countries where we do more business, where we have to take visas.
Okay, so the authorities there are saying that, this new visa restriction is primarily aimed at Indian asylum seekers, and that is in agreement with really what Mr. Hiranandani just said as well. But do you see the move also impacting, or disadvantaging perhaps regular Indian tourists who do make up for huge numbers when it comes to the travel between India and Hong Kong?
Well, that's Hong Kong's loss. You know, it's not India's loss. Travelers will go somewhere else. If they want a holiday, they'll go somewhere else. There are other places in the world besides Hong Kong and Macau. So, you know, that's their choice to make. But I think that there is a bit of a play here with Beijing exercising its writ over Hong Kong. After all, Hong Kong is little more than a Chinese colony now. They might call it a separate territory, but it is not really. The Chinese footprint is all over Hong Kong. And so I see it as a play by China to put play this tit-for-tat game. I don't agree that, these kind of things will put pressure on India of any worthwhile measure, and India is not going to make a noise about it because, it will also apply to Hong Kong visitors. If we are doing trade with Hong Kong people are also doing trade here.
Right. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the India-China relationship a little further into the program, but I'm going to go back to our guest in Hong Kong right now. Mr. Hiranandani, you've given us an interesting perspective already on the show, but can you tell us how exactly Indians are perceived in Hong Kong? One frequently does hear about, a certain amount of dislike for Indians. Have you ever perceived that yourself, and do you think that's part of why perhaps these new rules have come into play?
Well, I don't believe that is the case because as with any other country, you will have some amount of you might have some opposition to having Indians in Hong Kong, but it's not so much. It's just I believe it's just with any other country as well, as you might have with Australia and the US.
Okay, so maybe this is just part and parcel of new regulations that are in play. Mr. Guruswami, do you think that much has changed in terms of governance, in terms of bureaucracy for Hong Kong residents of Indian origin after 1997 when, the territory was handed to China by Britain?
Yeah. I'd like to go back to what the previous speaker said for one moment. There are Pew Research which says that, Chinese people are asked on the street which nationality they dislike. And India always comes very high. As a matter of fact, in the last Pew Research, it says that they dislike Indians the most, even more than they dislike Japanese. So it says a lot about what is the public mood in China. Though all the Chinese I encounter, I go to China very often, and who are educated and, who come to seminars and discussions. They're exceedingly polite, exceedingly gentle, exceedingly nice to me, and so I have personally no complaints, but I'm going by empirical evidence, by research. Now, as far as Hong Kong is concerned, Hong Kong is not fully independent anymore, is not free to take decisions. It's under more tight control than when the Crown was in charge of it. The Crown, the Hong Kong governor is, by all practical purposes, appointed by Beijing, and he reports to Beijing all the time. And so, I would not take any independent Hong Kong decision very seriously. This has been done with the consent of Beijing. Yeah.
Right. So, assuming then that it's not, a unilateral decision by Hong Kong, and that this is possibly an arm twisting tactic by China, keeping India-China relations in mind, do you see, this having an impact on, perhaps India showing a certain reciprocity when it comes to visa rules as far as Hong Kong goes?
It's not important, but there is this game which will constantly go on. The Chinese actually like this kind of a game. Even we play it quite well. We allowed the Karmapa to go to Tawang, and the Chinese got offended just as much as they got offended when the Dalai Lama went to Arunachal Pradesh, and then the American ambassador went to Tawang. All this, we also allow it because we both countries play this game. This is how modern diplomacy is conducted. The Chinese are very keen to get this message enshrined in other foreign offices that there's one China policy they ask you to endorse all the time. And in the last communique with Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj had with her Chinese counterpart in Delhi, they refrained from putting this in the communique, saying that India didn't agree to it. Because we asked the Chinese that you must put this one India part of it pertaining to Jammu and Kashmir in the communique also. The Chinese won't agree to it. So we didn't agree to one China formulation of Tibet and Taiwan and all those places being part of China.
Okay, so I guess it'll have to be a wait and watch sort of situation right now to see how exactly this impacts. Of course, it comes into play only in January next year. But on that note, we've got some interesting perspectives from both our guests tonight, and I'd like to thank them both for joining us here on the program. Mr. Hiranandani there in Hong Kong and Mr. Guruswami in Delhi. Thanks for joining us on WION with your perspectives. We are going to take a quick break on that note, but we'll be back with our other big debate and discussion in terms of India's organ donor crunch. Do stay tuned for that and more on the other side.